Peter My Boy, written by Bryan J. Tollman, illustrated by Irina Litinsky. Once upon a time, there were 3 girls who lived in a beautiful home with their cat whose name was Peter. Peter was a very smart cat. Each day he watched as the 3 girls came home from school, had a snack, and did their homework before playing with their friends in the garden. Peter was a wonderful cat. He had a white face with a black tail, 4 black legs, and black ears. Hannah, Sadie, and Ruby loved Peter. Each day they took turns to feed him. Peter understood that Hannah, Sadie, and Ruby did something very special at school, and he wanted to do that special thing too. Peter wanted to learn. So one day, Peter asked Hannah if he could go to school with her. Peter said, "I want to learn how to read a book, write a story, count, and draw a picture." Hannah turned to Peter and said, Peter my boy, kitty cats don't go to school," as she gently tapped Peter on his soft, wet nose. So Peter went to Sadie and asked if he could go to school with her. Peter said, "I want to learn how to read a book, write a story, count, and draw a picture." Sadie turned to Peter and said, Peter my boy, kitty cats don't go to school," as she gently tapped Peter on his soft, wet nose. Then Peter went to Ruby and asked if he could go to school with her. Peter said, "I want to learn how to read a book, write a story, count, and draw a picture." Ruby turned to Peter and said, Peter my boy, kitty cats don't go to school," as she gently tapped Peter on his soft, wet nose. Peter was very sad. All he wanted to do was to learn like the girls, to become smart and read, write, count, and draw, like Hannah, Sadie, and Ruby. Peter was determined to learn, so Peter came up with a plan. Very early the next morning, Peter got up and went downstairs and crawled into Ruby's school backpack. Peter curled up at the bottom of Ruby's bag and was very, very quiet. Later, the 3 girls came downstairs, ate their bagels, drank their orange juice, and went upstairs to get dressed, brush their teeth, and hair for school. Peter was still hiding in Ruby's backpack. Then their dad said, "Time for school," and he called the girls to get into the car. Ruby struggled to pick up her backpack. She said, "Daddy makes such heavy lunches for me, I can hardly pick up my backpack." Dad drove the girls to school, kissed each one of them, and asked them to do their best work at school. Peter was listening inside Ruby's backpack, and he silently promised to do his best at school too. Ruby went into her class and sat down at her desk. Soon, her teacher came into the class and told all the children to take their seats and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Then all the children sat down. Then the teacher asked the children to take their books out of their backpacks. Ruby pulled her heavy backpack onto her desk as she told her best friend Sophia, "My dad made my backpack so heavy with my lunch today, I can hardly pick it up." When Ruby opened her backpack, in an instant Peter jumped out, so glad to be out of the backpack. Ruby shouted his name. "Peter, Peter!" she said in disbelief. All the children turned to look at Ruby and saw a cat standing on Ruby's desk. They all began to laugh and shout with excitement. Look, look! Ruby has a cat on her desk! Ruby has a cat on her desk!" With all the noise and laughter, the teacher said, "Please be quiet, class. Class, be quiet." When the class was quiet, she asked Ruby, "Whose cat is on your desk?" Ruby said, "This is Peter. He is my cat." So the teacher asked, "Why is the cat at school?" Then Peter spoke. "Teacher, I came to school to learn like Ruby, Sadie, and Hannah. I want to learn how to read, write, count, and draw." "Those are good reasons to come to school," said the teacher. So she asked Peter, was he a good cat? Peter said he was a very good cat, and the teacher said Peter could stay. Peter sat next to Ruby and learned how to count, draw, read, and write, just like all the children. Peter was very happy, and the class loved having Peter at school. When the last school bell rang, Ruby and Peter packed up and went to wait for their ride. Ruby's dad was waiting and very surprised to see Peter and Ruby coming out of school together. In the car, Ruby was very excited to tell her dad all about her day with Peter at school, how Peter had jumped out of her backpack and how the teacher had let him stay at school, and what Peter had learned, and on about how exciting it was to have Peter at school. When they got home, Ruby and Peter had a snack and sat down to do their homework with Sadie and Hannah. Peter was so proud to have homework. When Peter was done, he went up to Hannah, looked into her beautiful brown eyes, gently tapped her on the nose, and said, "See, Hannah? Kitty cats can go to school." Then Peter went to Sadie and looked into her beautiful blue eyes, gently tapped her on the nose, and said, "See, Sadie? Kitty cats can go to school." Last, Peter went to Ruby, looked into her beautiful green eyes, gently tapped her on the nose, and said, "See, Ruby, kitty cats can go to school." The girls laughed and thought about what Peter had done. Peter, a cat, had gone to school, and if Peter could do it, they could do it too. The end.